Om Shrutismritipurananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Ajnanam Janhavitirtham Vidyatirtham Vivekinam Sarvesham Sukhadam Tirtham Bharati Tirthamashraye Vidya Vinaya Sampannam Vitaragam Vivekinam Vande Vedanta Tattvagyam Vidhushekara Bharatim. Dear friends, we are very fortunate to be continuing our discussions on PRABODHA SUDHAKARA on this very sacred day, which is the Jayanti day of our most venerable Acharya, most venerable Jagadguru, Sri Adi Shankaracharya. We have been studying this sacred text on every Shukla Panchami day as per the Agnya of our Jagadgurus, and we are very fortunate that this Shukla Panchami day, which is our Jagadguru Adi Shankaracharya's Jayanti, we are able to continue our study of this text on this day as well. So with our prostrations to the Jagadgurus, with our prostration to Bhagavad Pada, let us continue our study of this text. So today is the 9th session. Let us recall our sequence of understanding that is required for attaining the Atma Jnanam as expounded in the Upanishads and in the Prakarana Granthas. So Atma Jnanam, which is self-knowledge, that being the goal, and Vairagya or dispassion being the necessary prerequisite to proceed along the study of the scriptures to attain the Brahma Jnanam. And for Vairagya, the removal of Ahankara and Mamakara was suggested or was presented as a teaching to us by the Bhagavad Padacharya. And for removal of Ahankara and Mamakara, certain things or certain understanding is required. The first understanding which we saw was regarding the nature of the body, how difficult it is to get the body, how difficult it is to maintain the body, how difficult it is for making this body into a useful vehicle for attaining the Brahma Jnanam. So all these difficulties are associated with attaining the body. So this is what we saw in the first chapter of this text, which was Dehaninda Prakaranam. In the second chapter, we were looking into the Vishayaninda Prakaranam. So Vishaya here stands for the sensory objects, starting from anyone with whom we can associate this Mamakara with. That is, those that which we can call as this belongs to me or this belongs to myself. This is mine. So the mineness, that is the Mamakara with all those objects with which we can associate the Mamakara, that fall under the category of this Vishaya. So study into the nature of association with this Vishaya is required, and as the outcome of this study, one gets a dispassion or one gets the correct understanding of the defects associated with these Vishaya, that is the Vishaya dosha, the various doshas associated with the desire for any Vishaya. So this we understand, and through which this Ahankara and Mamakara identification can be removed. And that is the goal with which Bhagavad Padacharya is presenting to us in this second chapter, his teachings. That is the Upanishadic teachings. So with this intro, let us, we started looking into this, and the first thing which Acharya was talking about was with respect to the family, that is with respect to the closely associated members in the family. So this is the first level of association for a normal human being. So that is why Bhagavad Padacharya has selected this for criticism, or selected this for more careful study in the beginning itself. So in this context, Bhagavad Padacharya presented the relationship of a spouse, that is a husband with a wife, or with the wife with the husband. In those lines, Acharya was dissecting this relationship and pointing out what are all the difficulties which arise in this relationship. The second relationship which Bhagavad Padacharya had taken up was the relationship with the son or with the daughter, that is the child, and this relationship was taken up, and the desire for having a child or desire for having a putra, that is being criticized or that is being analyzed and presented with all its defects by Bhagavad Pada. So let us continue study of these verses. So in the last meeting, we saw that Bhagavad Pada was talking about the difficulties in begetting a son and the difficulties immediately after begetting a child, and the difficulties which present, or the worries which present to one's mind after begetting children as they start to grow up. So in this context, the last verse that we were looking at was this verse: Pitru Matru Bandhu Ghati Manasah Kedaya Jayate Putraha Chintayati Tata Nidhanam Putro Dravya Adhishata Hetoho. So in this verse, Bhagavad Padacharya was talking about how a child may lead to a lot of sorrow in one's life. So how does this happen? Suppose the child happens to be a violent person, that is the person, the child happens to be growing up to an adult, that adult son or daughter happens to be extremely abrasive in interactions with the rest of the members in the family, then this leads to a lot of sorrow. And such a child may also think about think about when the parents themselves may pass away. This may be the nature of the child. If this happens to be the nature of the child, then that leads to a lot of sorrow. So the person may be violent or immoral. The person may be given to a lot of other vices, addiction to some substances, these kind of things. Dravyadadhishata hetoho. So due to the addictions in the various substances, because of that also, the person may become, the violent nature of the person or the immoral nature of the person may become much more enhanced, because of which the parents may undergo a lot of sorrow. So such kinds of children or such kinds of people we do see in the world, and while we may not have direct experience of that, we see that such things do happen in the world. And one has to look upon these things as teachings for us. And the point is to give up the desire for anything at all vishayas. With respect to all vishayas, the desires has to be given up, including the desire for having a child or anything like that. So this was the teaching. Now continuing this, let us go ahead. सर्वगुणैरुपपन्नः पुत्रः कस्यापि कुत्रचित् भवति सो अल्पायु रुग्णो वा ह्यनपत्यो वा तथापि खेदाय. Now the positive side. So now the previous verse was talking about if the child happens to grow up into a immoral, violent, or a person who is given to a lot of vices, then what are the sorrows? In this verse, suppose all these things don't happen. That is, the child actually grows up to be a good person. The child actually grows up to be a very moral and ethical and a dharmika person. Then, even then, so while this may lead to some amount of happiness and lack of sorrow of the previous kind, which was caused due to the immorality of the child, this moral child or the dharmika person, it caused a lot of happiness to the parents. But then associated with this are other, worries or other difficulties which arise in this scenario. So what is the worry which arises in this scenario? So alpayu rugnova Hyanapatyo va tathapi khedaya. Suppose the child may, will the child have a long life or not? Such a worry may be had by the parents. So maybe the child grows up into an adult and the adult has some, physical issues. So the parents are always worried if the physical issues are, going to be manageable or they are going to be unmanageable by my child as he or she grows up. This kind of worry will be always there with the parents. Then Rugnova, so will this, this Alpayu and Rugno are going together. So the child may have some disease. So that is this Roga. So the person may be a diseased person, or by means of some disease or by means of some accident or whatever, the child may actually pass away in a very alpa ayu, that is in a very young age the child may actually pass away. This also kind of happens in the society. So all the, we all observe in the society what happens. So these kind of things also happens, and the worries of this kind also permeate and disturb the minds of the parents. This is the idea. Or if even if both of these are not there, so alpayu is not there, the person is having long life, or roga is not there, there is no disease, but then for some reason or the other the children are not getting married or not having children, their own children. So this is also again causing. So I have a child, all that is okay, and the person is well, and there is no issue with the person physically, no problem, all the person is also a moral person, etc., but not getting married or not having children. My child doesn't have a child, or my child is not getting married. So this is causing further disturbance or worry in the minds of the parents. What will happen to my child as he grows up, as he or she grows up? What will happen? There is nobody to take care of them, or there is nobody to to continue the lineage, to continue the dharmika lineage. There is nobody. This kind of feeling may come into the mind of the parents, and this disturbance or worry brings some sadness. So this sadness is kheda, and this may, in such a way the children may result in this kheda or the sorrow. So sorrow is there whether the child is, the child is moral or immoral, child is ethical or unethical, dharmika or adharmika person. In either case, there is scope for sorrow, and this is experienced by all the parents universally. This is what the teaching is. So continuing, putrat sadgatiriti chet tadapi प्रायोस्ति युक्त्यसहम् इत्थं शरीरकष्टैर्दुःखं सम्प्रार्थ्यते मूढैः. So in some sense, this is summarizing the previous verses that we have seen, as well as finding out something also. So what is being pointed out here? Putrat sadgatiriti chet tadapi prayosti yuktyasaham. So suppose a person, the parents feel, or the want to be parents feel that by begetting a child I will get the higher lokas. That is, by begetting a child I will get some sadgati. After I pass away, the child will offer for me all the appropriate offerings that has to be offered. That is the what has to be done to the pitrus. All this my child is offering for me. But so by that means I will get the higher loka. I will attain the sadgati. If that is the feeling, then also this is not following the logical thinking. Prayosti, that is putrat sadgatiriti ched. Suppose one says, or suppose one feels, by having the child I will beget the higher loka, I will beget the sadgati. Then also tadapi prayosti yuktasaham. Yukti asaham means what? It is illogical. This does not follow the logic. Yukti asaham. This does not cooperate along with the logic. Why it is said like that? Because there is no guarantee, especially in these days. There is no guarantee that the child will be able to, or the child will be in a position, or the child may not even be willing to offer the appropriate offerings, or the shraddha lopa may be there. There may be a lack of shraddha in the in the performance of the ceremonies and so on. So the regular performance of the ceremonies may not happen because of various reasons, right? Especially in today's time, this is very relevant. This is very relevant comment which is being a relevant observation which is being made by Bhagavad Pada. That is very relevant in today's time. So the children may not do the correct offerings in the correct way at the correct times with the proper shraddha that is required. So what is the possibility of getting sadgati if all of these things are done or not done? If they are done, they may be done improperly, or if they are not done also, then also there is a possibility of not getting the Sadgati. So chance of not getting Sadgati due to children is only high. The chance of getting Sadgati is very low because of the various possible defects which may arise in the performance of the ceremonies, etc. So therefore, this does not follow the logic. Even in those times itself, if it is true, in these times it is more true. That is how we have to take it. So it is not, there is no necessity that one gets Sadgati only via the performance of these rites or rituals by the children. This is the idea. So therefore, imagining that this will happen is also a based on some illogical thinking only. There's no, it's not based on some logical thinking. So by all these verses that we have seen, itham sharira kashtaihi dukkham samprarthyate modaihi. So by all of these discussions that we have had, it is seen that sharira kashtaihi dukkham hi samprarthyate. So it is only the effect of struggling to have children, the effect of putting a lot of effort in having children is only leading to more and more sorrow. Is only leading to more and more sorrow. So it is as though by putting lot of work, by putting lot of effort, one only is gaining sorrow. Mm, Sorrow is the fruit of all these efforts. So what is the point? So the only the desire for children is not a very intelligent desire. That is what is being. So the modaha is being used here. So the people are desiring for children, and by lot of effort one is getting children, and lot of effort one is it is involved in making them grow up into successful adults, into moral adults, into dharmika children, and so on. Even then, there may be a lot of worries which may result, sort of sorrows which may come along the way. So it is as though that one is only purchasing sorrow by means of all these efforts. So this implies that this effort is not a logical thing to do. This desire is not a logical thing to have. So therefore, only the unintelligent people have it. So we have to take these things in a appropriate sense. So the giving up the desire is what is being talked about here. That is the idea. The dharma of uh, uh, being in married life, that is not, the grihastha dharma is not being questioned here. That can never be questioned by Acharya. What is being questioned here is that desire for the desire which is innate in a general person's mind for begetting children. Imagining that by begetting children, all these good things or happy things will come to me, right? This imagination or this desire is what is being questioned. So through the children, I will get something, right? So if you look at deeply into the nature of this desire to have children, the desire happens to be around oneself only, right? So as the Shastra says, as the Upanishad say, Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. So for the sake of oneself, so many things are desired. So where for whatever may be said, so I want to do dharma, I want to continue the lineage, or I want to have children who will serve the society. I want to have children so that they may study something which is great and produce a lot of scholarship, etc. I want to have children because they will help others. I want to have children because whatever may be the reasons, the positive reasons which may be given to inculcate this desire for having children. Underneath all those things, all those desires, one finds only ultimately the desire for placating or having happiness to oneself. So Atmanastu Kamaya Sarvam Priyam Bhavati. So the love for everything in this world, all the external things, the love for all the external things in this world, the root of all of this love is the desire for making oneself happy. So by recognizing this, by understanding this, and by observing the defects in all the Vishayas, in all of these desires, when they are fulfilled, one does become happy, but that happiness is also always shaded deeply by sorrow. It is always, sullied deeply by sorrow. None of this happiness is pure happiness. None of this happiness which is caused due to the acquirement or the the Vishaya Bhoga, by the enjoyment of the Vishaya, by the fulfillment of the desire, whatever happiness is gained, that is only a very small Alpananda, only small level of happiness, that too tainted by all these doshas of various kind. So this is not the ultimate goal that the human beings are supposed to desire for. So the ultimate goal is only Atma Jnanam or Moksha. So towards that, if one has to go, these desires for these small things and the desires which cause a lot of sorrow, they have to be given up. So that is the idea. So moving on to the next verse. Now the main two relationships have been talked about. That is the relationship with the spouse and the relationship with the children. Now Acharya is going into Bhagavad Acharya is going into a general analysis or a general criticism, a general pointing out of the defects in attachment towards all relations. Now, in one verse, he sort of demolishes or he sort of points out that these relations, if one is attached to these relations in a very deep way, or in a without these relationship, if one cannot function happily in this world, then there is a lot of trouble. There is a lot of trouble that one has to undergo. So therefore, human being means there will be relationships, right? All kinds of relationships. Physically, one has to admit into one's life, and one has to take the appropriate course of action towards all these relationships. But at the same time, internally, mentally, be free from all attachments towards our relationships. Keeping this in mind, this verse is being presented to us by Bhagavad Pada. Pitru Matru Bandhu Bhagini Pitrupya Jamatru Mukhyana Margasthanamiva Yutir Anekayoni Brahmat Kshanika. So a list of relationship is given in the first half of the verse. In the second half of the verse is comparing this list of relationships with certain kinds of associations that one may have in some journey. So what is the first? The list of relationships you will see Pitru, Matru, so parents, mother and father, Bandhu, all relationships associated, and friends, etc. Bhagini, sister, that is the siblings. Pitruvya, so the relationships with one may have with the father's brother, so father's cousins and so on, father's brothers and so on. And similarly, you can say mother side relationships, father side relationship, then the children side relationships. Jamatru, so children side, that is the Jamatru is son-in-law. So children side relationships. Mukhyana, so Mukhyana means what, etc. So basically these are the Mukhya ones. Father, mother, bandhu, and Bhagini, and sister, and the father side relationship, etc., etc. All of these relations, which we may call blood relations or very close relations, attachment with all of them is nothing more than a mirage, right? The real relationship is these relationships are not like eternal relationships. They are very temporal. Why they are very temporal? Because they last only a single janma. That is the idea. So this idea of viewing oneself as the jiva who goes from one body to another, from one body to another, from one body to another, this is very important for the Vedanta Vichara. So when Vedanta Vichara happens, one always has to take the viewpoint that this one body which I got is a great gift from God, it is no doubt, but it is one of the countless bodies that I could ever get, and I have got already. Among so many bodies which I have gone through, I have got this one human body, and even after this body goes away, if the jnana doesn't come, more human bodies or more other bodies also I can possibly get. So this human body, whatever I inhabit, my capability to think, my capability to read, my capability to do dharma, my capability to have the viveka, my capability to for the buddhi shakti, etc. All of these capabilities which the human body possesses, these are all very temporal capabilities. So if the human body itself is a very temporal thing, if the capabilities of thinking, feeling like a human being, acting like a human being, thinking like a human being, feeling like a human being, relating to others like a human being, everything is associated only with the human body, which is temporal. What to talk of the relationships which are associated to the human body? Human body, through the human body only the other relationships. So these other relationships are also temporal. They are existing only for the time being. The time being means what? Only for the duration of the one janma. So therefore, viewing oneself as the jiva who is going from janma to janma, these relationships are very much temporal. That is the idea. So margasthanam iva yutihi aneka yoni brahma kshanika. Margasthanam iva yutihi. Margasthanam yutihi iva. What does that mean? As you are going along a journey, as you are going along the journey, you meet a lot of people along the way. As and when you meet a lot of people along the way, you exchange the pleasantries, you exchange the greeting, you may exchange your food, you may, you may have some nice interactions with them along the way. You may take the appropriate attitude towards them. Definitely, one should take the appropriate attitude towards them. No doubt about it. But these relationships, which one may have along a journey, you are going on a journey, so you don't stay put in one place. Oh, I like this person whom I met along the way, so I will go along with him to his or her house. One cannot say that. One has to proceed along one's own journey. Along the way, you meet the people whom you meet, and you exchange some time with them. You have some some discussion or something, some pleasant time with them. One pleasant interactions with them. One may have. That is part of the dharma, no doubt about it. But this is not the goal of the journey itself. The goal of the journey is to reach the end, which is the destination. So the person who has the destination in the mind is the intelligent person, isn't it? The person who has the destination in the mind is the intelligent person. So if forgetting our destination, we get distracted by our associations along the way, then you will never reach the destination. Or our reaching the destination may be very much delayed. So therefore, in this point of view, along the same lines, one has to think of all the relationships that one has in a particular janma. So aneka yoni brahma kshanika. So similar to this journey, going towards the destination that the traveler has, in the same way, the jiva is also having a journey towards moksha, towards Atma Jnanam. So, and while you go along this journey, what is happening? You are going from one body to another body to another body to another body. It is like you are going a long journey. In the long journey, you are staying in a few places or several places. Every place you stay, there are some people associated with the place, and you have to have relationship with those people as long as you are staying in that place. In the same way, as you are going along, the jiva is going along the journey of the jiva. The jiva yatra, at every place there is, at every body, with every sharira, there are relationships. With every sharira, there are relationships. So these relationships have to be appropriately handled. According to dharma, they have to be handled. According to the shastra, they have to be handled. But one should not take them as the permanent relations. So don't take them to your head. That is the idea. Don't take them to your heart. Keep them at the level of the dharma. Keep them at the level of swadharma. Keep them at the level of the appropriate interactions according to shastra. But always have the idea that I am here on a much bigger journey, a much more important journey. That is the journey towards the Atma Jnanam or Moksha. So therefore, Aneka Yoni Brahmat Kshanika. So just like the travelers' meetings are all only temporal, they are all instantaneous meetings. They are all very temporal, small time interactions. In the same way, because of the journey via the various yonis, various bodies one goes through, in the same way, the jiva's interactions with the relationships are also very temporal. This is the idea. So with this idea, one has to relate with other people, but they should not be broadcasted. So when you meet other people, you should not say something like, I am only interacting with you very temporarily, as long as I am only in this body, only then, and that is not a very nice way. It is for our own understanding, that the Shastra is presenting, that Bhagavad Gita is presenting these truths about human life. These are truths about human life that one has to understand, but not broadcast to everybody that one meets. If you broadcast, then it may become very problematic, right? The relationship may soar, but that is not something which is intended by the Shastra. Relationships, appropriate interactions, what one must have according to the Swadharma, but internally, remember the truths of life. Remember the facts of life. Do not forget the facts of life. Do not forget what you are here for. Okay, with this, we will conclude today's session and we will continue our study of Prabodha SUDHAKARA in the next session. In the next session, we will hope to complete by the grace of our Jagat Gurus the Vishayan in the Prakaranam, and we will continue in the next Prakaranam also, that is the Manon in the Prakaranam. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.